Hello everyone and welcome to the sideboard of the Dallas Standard Open. I'm here with David Thomas.
What's up, guys?
David's taking his time away from flipping burgers to play a little Reanimator. And it's a pretty reasonable list for the tournament. I think it's just one of the better archetypes in the format, right?
Yeah, it's got fair game against every deck in the format, and it punishes people who think they don't have to have Graveyard Hate to beat it, because you do have to have Graveyard Hate to beat it, because it puts it has such a high threat density count, and it gets to it so fast.
Sure.
So it's really important to make sure you stop the deck from going at its pace. And you want the deck going at your pace.
Yeah, a lot of people say that the Graveyard Hate's not that important because the deck has such a great Plan B, but really Plan B is like a lot more beatable than Plan A.
Yeah.
So you would pretty much prefer to force them onto Plan B, I think, a lot of the time.
Yeah, you want it, like, Plan B is just, it turns it into a mid-range deck.
Right.
And it's a mid-range deck with a lot of awkward draws.
Sure. So we're going to go ahead and dive into like some of the specifics of your list. You're not running two things that a lot of people run, usually one or the other, which is you don't have mana dorks and you don't have removal spells.
Yeah, the removal spells are really inconsistent. Dreadbore is really hard on your mana base. You don't have that much black and you don't have that much red. You have a lot of green. It's really good when you draw it, but you don't need it most of the time. I found that like a lot of people were playing 3 Lingering Souls, and I found that the 4th Lingering Soul was consistently better, especially when game 1 you just kill a lot of people with the Crater Hoof Behemoth. And Sever the Bloodline Sever, since most of the time it was a 7-mana removal spell, you don't really need it.
Sure. You've got the Crater Hoof Behemoth, you've gone to 2 copies, which I know some people have done something like that, and you've also added Huntmaster of the Fells to the deck.
Yeah, Huntmaster of the Fells is really getting some metagame. A lot of people are playing these mid-range, these like blue-based mid-range decks, and Huntmaster is amazing against their decks. It stops Geist of Saint Traft in its tracks, like the new blue-white Prozac blue-white mid-range deck. It's amazing against that deck. It kills their Snapcaster Mage. They can't put anything in front of it without a Rune Chainer's Pike. So it's really important.
It plays pretty reasonably against Augur Bolus, and it's obviously like not especially bad in the face of Restoration Angel, although there are some complications in general. You have an Olivia Voldaren also added into the deck, which you say is actually more of a removal spell.
Yeah, it's there to kill other Olivias, and it's strictly, in my opinion, strictly better than the 4th Huntmaster, because it's a great 4-drop, and they both can dominate games in the same sort of way. Sure. Olivia does it a little bit more uniquely, but I don't want multiple copies in my graveyard ever. And Huntmaster's the card I want to see more general. Olivia's what I want to see over the long game, since I don't have like a lot of black and a lot of red mana. Yeah. So it's pretty mana intensive. And
of course, with Forum Barrel Rights, you can bring back the one Olivia as many times
as you want to kill theirs. Because Olivia's a pretty big problem for the deck.
A lot of players have run different bullet lands in the deck. We've seen Kessig Wolf run, that's less frequent. Slayer's Stronghold is like more generally accepted. But you've got Vault of the Archangel in your list.
Yeah, a lot of people like Vault of the Archangel. It's really good with Lingering Souls. It helps you win a lot of races you can't win otherwise. If you're attacking with just an Angel and a Thragtusk, and they're attacking back with the same 2, because a lot of times you end up being at the same or less life total than they are, and usually you're the second person attacking. I like Vault. I kept it at Vault specifically for Huntmaster because you can flip it and kill their stuff. And with the deck, it's actually reasonable to flip it back with Faithless Looting, Lingering Souls, mulch and such. So it's easy to turn them into a removal spell.
Right. The density of flashback spells, in addition to like how cheap the flashback spells are, just gives you a lot more ways to play 2 spells in the same turn, which makes Huntmaster obviously a lot stronger as well. I think the field here is actually pretty aggressive. Was that a consideration when you decided to go with Huntmasters?
Yeah, that was another consideration. I expected a lot more aggression to try and punish the mid-range decks, because they want to put the threats into play as fast as possible. And the mid-range decks without the Wraths in the main have a lot of trouble with that, especially if they lost the die roll.
Sure.
So, but Huntmaster's amazing against them.
So let's move on to the sideboard. We'll just talk a little bit about the slots. You've got 4 Deathrite Shamans for starters, which is, I think, the go-to Graveyard Hate card in this kind of deck. It goes with a lot of your plans, and it also functions as like an accelerant in addition to being like actual Graveyard Hate.
A lot of people playing this deck only have like 1, 2, or 3. I actually like the full set, especially with all the mid-range decks right now, since a lot of them are adopting Rune Chainer's Pike. It ruins Snapcaster Mage.
Yeah.
It can gain you life against at critical points against the mid-range decks. It's really good against the burn decks, because they're going to burn you and you're going to just sit there gain life. They don't want to kill it. It blocks Strongkirk Noble, which is hilarious.
Comical.
Yeah, but and then in the mirror, I really want to see it. on turn 1. So I really like the utility of the card right now. So
it's one of my favorite cards in Return to Ravnica in a variety of formats. And
I've grown on it. I didn't like it at first, but it keeps impressing me.
You keep going, little buddy.
I've got the 4th Huntmaster for those aggro decks. One of the things I was confused about is a lot of they only have 2 copies of Slaughter Games. I really want Slaughter Games against Jund because they're so threat light that if you just pull and you want to pull their Olivias, their Thundermaw Hellkites, then their Thragtusks, because your Thragtusk can break theirs and
pretty easily. Yeah.
And their Huntmasters aren't really a problem. You just want to take their long game plans. And you can also just name their Slaughter Games so they can't take your Angel Serenities, because that's pretty unbeatable once you start to lock them out.
Sure. I mean, I think the real key in that matchup is definitely, like, you want to put the game in a position where you're going long with more threats in your deck, because your density is much higher than theirs, and as long as you keep that, like, disparity wide, it'll be pretty difficult for them to outdraw you, as long as the board is remotely stable. Mm-hmm. You've also supplemented your 2 Centaur Healers in the main with 2 in the board, although I know you said you weren't that excited about that choice in retrospect.
I kind of regret that choice. You don't really need them. With Huntmasters and the extra Lingering Souls, you have the cushion you need to get to your game plan. I really wish they were probably another removal spell, specifically Rolling Templar. It's good against all these aggro decks. Kills Geist. And it's really good against Jund, because a lot of the Jund players will lead off with the Deathrite Shaman into a turn 3 Huntmaster, knowing on turn 4 I can't react usually, because I don't, or my turn 3 I can't react. So if I Rolling Timber them there, it's just a blowout.
That makes sense. So really, the Centaur Healer is just filling a role that you have multiple cards that already are doing working that. So
and wish I'd.
Yeah. Well, that's one of the things that happens when you switch things around and you don't get to explore all of the options before the tournament. But it's a fickle world we live in. So now that you've played a few rounds, I know you started off with a loss, but I don't believe you've lost since then, right?
No, I actually haven't lost a game since then.
So it's going to be a long day, obviously.
Very long day. We got 6 more rounds. 6 more rounds before I could potentially draw.
We have Behemoth on our side, so at a minimum, we're always drawing live, I think, when that guy's in the deck.
Yeah, always drawing live.
All right, well, thanks for joining us, David.
No problem.
Good luck.
Thank you.
And we'll have more deck decks for you later.